So Liverpool kick off the Europa League group stage campaign with a 3-1 win over LASK in Linz tonight. And it wasn't a game really where Liverpool had things all their own way. They went 1-0 down pretty early doors due to what you can only call a wonder strike really, and they had to fight back in that second half, but they did so, and you feel like despite that sort of sloppiness in the first half, Jurgen Klopp will be happy with a lot of what's gone on tonight. Obviously getting the win first up is the most important thing, and Liverpool have done that, but also the minutes he got into the legs of some players who probably needed them, and also several of the performances tonight. So I'm going to go through those as per usual and talk about how each player did from the starting 11 through to the subs. We'll obviously start with the goalkeeper, Kevin Kelleher. I have to say on the goal, really nothing he could do about it. It was just a brilliant strike into the corner from distance, and not one where you'd even expect Alisson to maybe save it. It's a difficult one to save, and not one where you can blame the goalkeeper there. And I thought, in terms of his general performance, he spent a lot of the game, to be honest, as a bit of a spectator really. He didn't have an awful lot to do, but when he was called upon, he did quite well. A couple of decent saves. One was, although it's from an offside chance, was a pretty outstanding save actually, which, you know, was probably his most memorable moment of the game, which says a lot really about how uninvolved he was in the game overall. But not a bad night for him. I thought he played pretty well overall and did what he had to do pretty well. We did see a bit of that ability he's got with the ball at his feet as well, which is always nice to see from Kelleher, and a real reminder that Liverpool don't miss that when Alisson drops out. They've got a backup goalkeeper who is just as capable with the ball at his feet. Moving into the defence, to start at right back, Stefan Bajcetic coming in there as sort of to take on that hybrid role that Trent Alexander-Arnold usually works in, and a bit of a challenge for him really, because he's just come back from injury and he's playing a position that's really unfamiliar to him, and I think you could see that at times. I think you could see that why he's so suited to that position in terms of his ability to use the ball in a Trent Alexander-Arnold like way. He can pass the ball through the lines really nicely, and he's got good vision, and he's also pretty good defensively. We know that as well. I think there was one slide tackle in particular he made tonight in the midfield area that I thought really says about his defensive qualities, but there were also times where he was slightly caught out of position, didn't look a natural and not as used to it as Alexander-Arnold is. I mean, I must say Alexander-Arnold himself does get caught out of position when he's playing that hybrid role at times, so when Liverpool turn it over, it does put the person who's playing that position in a difficult place really in terms of getting back. So not something you can criticise Bajcetic from, but not really his best performance. I think we're going to see a lot more of him as he builds up match fitness, because he's obviously been out for a long while, and we know how good he is from his finish to last season. So an important outing for him really, just to get minutes in the legs. Moving into the centre halves, we saw Ibrahima Konate start there, and I thought for him, again, it was an important minutes that he got there. He's just come back from injury, and Liverpool need to get him back on the pitch and back to full fitness as quickly as they can. So encouraging to see him come in. I thought for the last goal, one area he'll be disappointed by was the fact that it came from a corner where he was too easily beaten down the right-hand side. We know he gets pulled out into those full-back positions a lot, and you look back at that and maybe think he could have done better, although not really one where you can sort of attach blame to him for the goal, but a situation where I feel he could do better. But I think otherwise, very solid as per usual, and moved the ball well. He won his challenges, won his headers. He's so physical, isn't he, as well? He tends to bully attackers, and he did that again. Thought his partner at centre-half as well, Virgil van Dijk, a commanding performance from him. Again, important that he was in the team tonight because he's had that suspension. Needs to get the match sharpness going as quickly as possible, so that's why you may be seeing him in the Europa League team tonight. And I thought pretty dominant really. I thought across the defensive statistics, I think he ended up with 5 clearances, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions. Quite impressive in terms of the numbers, but also in terms of his general performance. I thought he put a couple of blocks in where LASK maybe would have looked quite dangerous, and just a general captain's performance from him. I thought he was really good in coming back, and obviously I expect him to be in the team at the weekend off the not just on the basis of this, but because of, well, it's Virgil van Dijk, and he should be in there. He's the captain of the club, and yeah, a good performance from him tonight. Moving into left back, Kostas Tsimikas. I thought a mixed performance from him. He's dependable, isn't he, when he comes in that left back berth. Never really lets Liverpool down, but it was an up and down performance from him. I thought, some sloppiness at times when he could have done much better. There was one opportunity in the first half where Liverpool had a break on from a last corner where he just held the ball too long, and if he'd passed it on to Nunez, he had so many runners ahead of him, it would have been almost a certain goal really, because Liverpool had the numbers in attack, but for some reason Tsimikas kept hold of the ball and they managed last to get back in, and that was sort of characteristic of some of his sloppiness on the ball and some of the wrong sort of choices that he made on the ball throughout the night. But he also, I have to say, in the first half, he actually looked kind of like Liverpool's biggest threat. Some of his crossing from set pieces and from wide was really impressive and created some opportunities. So yeah, a mixed performance, not a performance where Tsimikas disgraced himself at all, but some ups and downs. So sort of somewhere in the middle, really. I put my player ratings as 6, which I think you would call an average performance, and I probably stand by that. Now we're going to move into the midfield. In that holding midfield role was Wataru Endo. Now I was quite excited to see him tonight because we haven't seen an awful lot of him, and I think the Europa League is a good opportunity for him to get minutes and also show what he's all about. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing him tonight, but I didn't think he massively took this opportunity. He was really quiet. I mean, Liverpool was so dominant in terms of possession that I just think there wasn't maybe sometimes an awful lot of him to do in terms of even choking counters, because when the ball was coming out, it wasn't like LASK were playing it out and trying to work the way quickly through the gears and countering that way. A lot of the time they were kind of hoofing it up the pitch, so maybe didn't have a lot to do on the defensive side of the game and the impact. But I did think there was a sloppiness in his passing as well, given that Liverpool were having a lot of the ball. You would have maybe wanted to see him do a little bit more. I mean, you don't expect your defensive midfielder to be a hugely creative passer, but I think, just general sloppiness. I think his passing accuracy by the time he came off the pitch was somewhere around sort of 80%, and he should have done a lot better with some of those because they were just needlessly loose passes. So kind of a disappointing performance for him, but it is, of course, early days for him in terms of adapting to this new team and new environment. So hopefully a lot more to come from Endo as he builds on this sort of these first few appearances he's made for Liverpool. Ahead of him in midfield, Harvey Elliott. Again, I thought a little bit of a sloppy performance from him. I thought there were moments where you saw his real class, really, in terms of his creativity and his ability to use the ball and create for teammates, lay shots on or put them in dangerous positions so that they can lay shots on. And he also had his typical energy. He gets about the pitch, he tries his best, he tries to close gaps. But I also thought, again, like I said, some sloppiness in there in terms of, just loose passes in situations where he should have done better. I mean, he's been so impressive off the bench at the start of the season that I thought we were going to see him sort of bring that form into this first start, but it didn't really happen. So a bit of a struggle for Harvey Elliott. He's going to have to keep impressing in those cameos if he is going to make it into the starting 11 for the Premier League, you feel. So a bit of a night to forget for him. Alongside him in midfield, however, the full debut for Ryan Gravenberch, and I thought he was absolutely outstanding tonight. I thought he was probably in Liverpool's sort of most impressive midfield. Well, he was Liverpool's most impressive midfielder, certainly in the first half. There was a couple of things that he continually did, which was taking the ball in tight areas and showing really good feet to sort of get out of tight situations, that sort of press resistant in a way that Gini Wijnaldum was throughout his Liverpool career. And he also showed these drives from midfield that we don't see a lot of. His ability to sort of run forward and draw defenders in. There were a couple of moments where he made the wrong decision in terms of his pass, and one in particular stands out in my memory where he could have just slid Nunez in for a one-on-one, and he held onto the ball a little bit too long and got dispossessed. And I think there was a similar situation actually in the second half, but there was one situation where he lays on a goal for Luis Diaz with a brilliant ball from wide on the right that he just slides it across the box and gives Diaz a tap in. So to get an assist, a really important milestone in the sort of early stages of his Liverpool career. And I thought just generally he looked like a class act on the pitch tonight. So yes, it's only LASK and there's a lot more to come from him, but a really, really good start I thought from him, and hugely encouraged by what I've seen tonight. Really excited to see a lot more of Ryan Gravenberch. Now, moving into the attack, start on the right hand side where Ben Doak started. First half, a couple of moments where he stood up his defender and just breezed by him like it was the easiest thing in the world. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. This is something he's done an awful lot since he's been in and around the Liverpool first team. His ability to beat his fullback is sort of second to none, really. What you'd like to see a little bit more of is his end product at the end of those. He slams the ball across the box, but it doesn't come to anything. You want to see him maybe picking out a player a little bit more. But still, I thought, he's such a young player, and I think if there's one area of his game as well that he actually needs to kind of work on. It's sort of his hold-up play when he's taking the ball in wide positions. You see Liverpool use Mo Salah to get the ball up the pitch a lot, and he holds off a defender who's on his back, and he can then bring others into play, and that gets Liverpool play in and up the pitch. Doak isn't quite there yet, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is only 17. He's got a lot of time in the gym to come. He's going to work on that side of his game, but it did look like a little bit of a weakness to Liverpool tonight. But as I say, such a young player, so much to come, and some of the exciting moments he had in terms of his dribbling just shows what a hugely talented player he is. On the other side of on the other wing, rather, it was Luis Diaz who I thought sort of Liverpool was probably best attacker in that first half, even though they were largely disappointing. He won an awful lot of tackles as well, actually, it seemed. He seemed to be winning possession more often than anyone else in that high position. He really did look like he knew the press better, and he was much more dangerous in forcing LASK into errors there. And then he wins the penalty. He scores the goal that puts Liverpool 2-1. So, from an attacker, what more could you ask, really? I thought a sort of really, really good performance from him. I mean, you just think back to last season and how much Liverpool missed him when he was out with those sort of succession of knee injuries. It's so good to see him back fit and firing. He really does seem to me to have that the left wing spot really locked down at the moment. In the centre forward spot, Darwin Nunez, it sort of seemed like a mixed performance at times because he misses a header that's a golden opportunity in the first half. I know it looks like a good save from the keeper, but it's one where when the centre forward looks at that back, he's going to think, I wish I'd scored that, I wish I put more on the header, wish I put it back across goal rather than sort of trying to nod it in at the near post. And so he'll be really disappointed with that. But again, he does what Darwin Nunez does. He scores the penalty for starters, very coolly taken. Good to see that Liverpool have another option there in terms of penalty takers. And he's also absolutely crucial to the second goal with his hold-up play, which we're seeing a little bit more of from him, and is really hugely encouraging because I think it's something that we want to see a lot more of Darwin Nunez. We know that Gakpo's good in that, but maybe not as much of a threat in behind. We want to see a bit of both from Nunez if he can provide that, and he did around the second goal tonight. He also ends the game with 5 shots, which is just a guarantee, isn't it? When Nunez is on the pitch, he gets shots away, and I think 2 of those were on target. So he's just a constant threat, and I think he'd have wished that he'd maybe got 2 tonight, and he had the opportunities to do that. But yeah, like I say, goal, got a load of shots, played a key role in the second goal. So not a bad night at all for his centre forward. Very interesting to see what Jurgen Klopp does in terms of his picks there for the weekend. Just want to briefly touch on the substitutes, particularly Joe Gomez. Maybe I thought brought a real balance back to Liverpool because he's a bit more of a natural fit in that right back role than Stefan Bajcetic. I think he's nailed on to play right back, isn't he, until Trent Alexander-Arnold is available, and certainly if he's not available against West Ham at the weekend, then we'll see Joe Gomez there definitely because he is the best fit for that position. And also, of course, Mohamed Salah. I think he would have been disappointed not to start this game, just because he wants to score goals all the time. He wants to be involved. He wants to be playing games. But he comes on and he gets his goal in typically brilliant fashion. Just a bit of strength and great feet, and then a lovely finish there. It's just sums him up. What a player he is. I think is it 12 games on the bounce now. He's got a goal contribution, either an assist or a goal. He's just an absolutely phenomenal world-class star. And I think good that he's had a little bit of a rest today because he'll be absolutely champing at the bit for the weekend, ready to go. So that really sums up my thoughts on the players across this game. A good win, a good start to the Europa League campaign for Liverpool, which they'll obviously want to build on going forward. It's West Ham at the weekend from Anfield, and I'll be there to bring you these more post-match thoughts. So please do click like and subscribe to follow those. And I do, just before I end, want to say a huge thank you to everyone who subscribes now, just past 10,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy and not anything I sort of thought I would get near this soon after starting the channel. So thank you everyone, and as I say, I'll see you around the West Ham game. See you later.